We can be human and act however we want to. We wouldn't stop being human. We can steal sugar from babies, and we can give candy to diabetic people, and we can watch dogs go blind because we give them chocolate to eat. Or we can support one another and share loving kindness and understanding and warmth. Hi diddly doodly neighborinos. So as I was just donating some of my precious vital fluid, which you are welcome to do also, but not obliged to, I observed my thoughts going into the direction of how do you live in a society well? What are your obligations, your responsibilities? How can you be a good neighbor? And channeling the best neighbor in TV history, namely Ned Flanders, I am willingly dillily to talkily dockily about this title card. There is this famous Gandhi quote which says approximately, the greatness of humanity doesn't lie in being human, it lies in being humane. And my favorite definition of the term humane comes from an anthropologist who talked about a femur, a leg bone, which was broken and belonged to a Homo sapiens like 50,000 years in the past. And what's so amazing about it is that it healed on its own. So whoever had this grief wound, which would make them completely incapable of getting food for themselves, they were taken care of by their group, by whoever thought their life so precious as to give up some of their own food. And that's the start of civilization, as that is not a thing that any other wild animal would have done or would have had the capabilities of doing. And that's such a beautiful sentiment, because that is the thing that makes us humane. We can be human and act however we want to. We wouldn't stop being human. We can steal sugar from babies, and we can give candy to diabetic people, and we can watch dogs go blind because we give them chocolate to eat. Or we can support one another and share loving kindness and understanding and warmth. So both of these things are human because humans can do them, but one of these things is humane and the other isn't. As being humane is defined by our willingness to support one another through tough times. And isn't that a beautiful sentiment? Just love these few people who are surrounding your house, flats, trailer park. That is a beautiful thought, however very limiting. As well, your neighbor is actually everybody, or can be anybody who is right alongside you. It's really not necessary to put this limitation of our immediate surroundings on the category, especially because, again, being humane means to support one another. And, well, you may be supportive to one group and unsupportive to the other one. However, well, then you would be inhumane to the other one if you're just saying, no, I will not support these people because they aren't my neighbors. Why? Because you want all the food? It's not about giving up everything like Ned Flanders does. It's about being willing to give everything up. It's not about not having any borders. It's about being willing to tear those walls down, as it's the humane thing to do. It's beneficial to us as in humanity, society, helping one another stand and try to make the best out of this crapshoot we call life. And so long as you're human, you can act humanely. That's the whole point of the Good Samaritan story. Nowadays, being a Samaritan means being a really swell dude. However, back in the day, Samaritans were hated by the Jews. They called them half-breeds. They didn't want to spend any time with them. They rather crossed the Jordan River than walking through Samaria. However, it was the Samaritan who helped the person in need while the priest and the Jew didn't. It's a very heart opening story about how every person can act humanely if they will, and so may you. It's not your sole responsibility to keep society going, even though you may profit from society going. It's not your sole responsibility to be humane in any situation and give anybody anything they want. It's human not to do so. I'm advising you towards being humane and towards loving thy neighbor. It's still as valid as it was 2000 years ago. But you're not a bad person if you're not doing it. You're an inhumane person. There's a difference. About society, it's corrupt on every level. It's an awful shit pile that blind, deaf idiots have made and are really proud of and unwilling to change. And that's just the situation we're in. It's not ideal, maybe, but we can see the perfection in the imperfection, is my belief at least. It's not like there is any part of society that is completely sufficient for anybody. Sigmund Freud, for example, posited that the root of human neuroses stems in our interactions with public institutions and the dissatisfaction that we gain from that, as there is no institution that is actually equipped of dealing with human needs in their actual needs, not just the superficial stuff that society actually cares for. There is no level of society where people aren't people. And people, again, are blind, deaf idiots who are only really acting on their own behalf mostly and trying to make the best of a shitty situation, namely life, and all the pitfalls that come along it. So most people are jaded and ignorant and unwilling to change, and that's okay. That's the way humans behave. As civilization, society is built by humans who act so crappily often. Society is very crappy too. You may see Homer Simpson. You may take Homer Simpson, who is a very impulsive, angry, drunk idiot, and his popularity on people relating with him. I relate with him. I'm a angry, drunk idiot sometimes. Well, who isn't? It's just that's a part of us. But society being kind of crappy doesn't necessarily mean that you have to stay away from it or don't interact with it at all. It just means that you, well, have to accept that if you want to deal with it. Or, if I'm wrong, you have to accept that society is really a great place where everything is jolly and our needs are perfectly met. However, if you accept that society is kind of crappy and things can be kind of crappy, then you can just deal with that and apply yourself the best way possible with the most vigor and energy and enthusiasm, which immediately makes everything brighter. And that's kind of the most we can hope for here. We can go into a dark room and try to be the light that just brings a little bit of brightness into this dark and cold, ignorant room. Which is fine, again. That's just the beauty of our condition. Be the shining light in darkness and be humane, be a good neighbor. Actually try to apply yourself towards helping, well, you, society. It wouldn't be a fun project if everything was already perfect, now would it? It's not like this, anything here is perfect. That's the way it is. It's the perfect imperfection that we currently living in. And if we are willing to accept that, we can move on. And move on we shall, because I feel like I'm rambling, and the message was mostly just act like Jesus or Ned Flanders and maybe donate some blood if you want to. It's just about being however you are, and that's fine. However, now you don't have any excuses anymore in not donating blood because you've never heard of it or you just weren't thinking about it. Enjoy.